Thank you, Dr. Sarah. And my topic of discussion right now would be what DCI has done, taking the research, all the work they have done to take all those children, especially the girls, off the Bangladesh streets and put them in a place where they're well taken care of. So for the next few minutes, I'll walk you through some of the things that DCI, the Orphan Support Program, has done. As you know, the DCI have been involved in supporting the orphanage, orphans in Bangladesh in many of the government projects till about 2010. In 2010, DCI decided to go ahead and open up their first Sunchild home with about 12 children, actually all girls, 12 girls. This is the current picture. As I take you through, you'll see where they came from, what they have, what DCI has provided them with all the supports and everything else. So now, just the basics, as you have seen from the previous presentations, that based on all the research and work, and these are the things that DCI decided to provide to the orphan girls, provide housing, security, food, and their basic necessity, education, health care, and counseling them for their personal hygiene and health. And also, not only that, and also an educational program along with that, extracurricular activities for song and dance and music and arts and so on and so forth. The selection criteria is all female, just like I said, between the age of 3 and 8, and they have to have lost both their parents or come from a single mother or mothers that have been remarried, who can no longer be kept in their household or could not be kept at their as a child, or some abandoned child they were out in the streets. And by the way, and one of the slides that, and obviously, they recruit them at the age of between 3 and 8, but they will keep them. The program will keep them till they turn 25, or for a duration of about 25 years. Recently, I'm glad to report to you that DCI has adapted, I shouldn't say adapted, has taken a girl, 18 years old, just finished his SSC, secondary school education certification, from a government orphanage, and she could no longer be supported there. So DCI has taken her, and for the past 2 years has provided her education, health, and all within our program, and she has very successfully graduated her HSC under DCI's care. As you can see, that they also get a 5-course meal in this Sunchild home, a balanced meal. These are done by professionals before the week starts. They will have a weekly, what they're gonna eat for breakfast, then a mid-snack, lunch, and evening snacks, and a dinner. So these are all programmed, and they have a very specific time when those are given. As you can see in the picture, see how nicely they're taken care of, and I happen to be there in many times when they were having meals. And as like I mentioned, that this orphanage, this Sunchild's home we started that in 2010, so I've been blessed to be there every year since 2010. Matter of fact, in 2015, I've already been there twice. So it's seen by my own eyes, and everybody, and I'm sure many of you in this room has visited Bangladesh, and a lot of the volunteers have worked there, and I'll show you some slides, what they do when they get there. Also, this is you can see the environment, they get their education. They're very well taken care of. They get some computer lessons. They have, actually, we have one full-time, we call it the in charge of the entire facility, the orphanage, and also they have 2 full-time caregivers and full-time teachers. They also have 2 part-time teachers that come and help them with homeworks and stuff with them. And on top of that, you can see the schedule right below. They have a very specific schedule. And they not only get private tutoring in there, but they'll actually go to public schools. They actually go to the government schools. Most of the girls, for those of you who know the Bangladesh school system, they possibly know Kisholoi Girls' School. Majority of them goes there. 5 of them at the 6th grade, they got selected to go to Bhartashari Homes, which is a boarding school. So those of you know, it's pretty tough to get in there. And then 4 of the girls are studying in the primary government schools. And then just like I mentioned, as you can see the next slide, look at the grades. Look at the grades. This is everybody and look at their aggregated GPAs. They're all A-grade students. You know, that's not how they were taken in. So all the work that the DCI, between the volunteers, the teachers, are doing in supporting these girls is awesome. And at this time, I must take a second and recognize the DCI Sunchild Home. The program director is with us here, Dr. Sabina. If you stand up. And also with us, we have our Bangladesh DCI coordinator, Ms. Salma. So she is putting in a lot of hard work with her team. So she has a wonderful team there. I wish she could bring everybody with her, but she has a presentation later. She may say something about that. But it is absolutely awesome to go there and see the progress from one year to the next, how these girls are developing, not only physically by getting the right amount of food and nutrition, but also educationally, and also as they're going through the extracurricular activities. And here's a picture that shows that they get a full support, and they get vaccine twice a year. I mean, they're into the full scope, and most of this is done by the volunteers. Not only the volunteers, some are paid, but the volunteers that goes from here. And you've heard Dr. Previously spoken that, you know, how they're doing all this medical supports that they get here from the volunteers and from the physicians from US and other places, and is getting bigger and bigger. So I appreciate and applaud and thank everybody that dedicating their time and support to support these young girls and the other Sunchild sponsorship program. And all those records are kept, you know, from the heights and widths and stuff like that. Matter of fact, in the picture over here, you can see there's a white van that's actually been donated by another supporter of DCI. They have given that van for the girls to really go to distant places, like in the next slide you'll see. But they also have other smaller transportation that they are using them to go to school on an everyday basis. And here are some of the extracurricular activities. And just like I mentioned, there's 2 other teachers, actually 3 teachers. They come on a part-time basis to teach them music, dance, religion, you know, and so on and so forth. And you can see the arts, and here's some pictures of, you know, it's amazing you can sit there and spend days and, you know, and hours to see how well they're performing. They not only perform, they all actually participate in some of those competitions in the country. And, you know, they compete with different schools, and you can see some of the programs that they have participated in, Nojul Institute, Leo Club, Shishu Academy, and so on and so forth. And they're getting recognized, and they're getting awards, and they bring them in. If you go to that orphanage, you'll see they have, you know, have certificates and awards and plaques hanging on the wall. Here, and also, like the van that I was showing you, these are the ones that take them for excursions, road trips, field trips. So they're like some of the renowned places that they go to see, like normal kids would go to see a fort or a children's park or different parks, and you can see how playful and colorful they are. So it is an awesome, awesome work and achievements that DCI has been able to provide these children. Now, on top of that, like I started my presentation or speaking, that DCI supports their Sunchild home for those children. You know, we started off with 12, now we get about 45. On top of that, DCI is also providing and supporting some of the government, run orphanages. So they also provide them with some sports supplies that we heard. One of our first speakers that they mentioned, you know, how they have like a bank, the food library, the toy libraries and the sporting goods and stuff like that. So this is what DCI also do for the government-run orphanages. Also at the same time, you know, they organize some of those essay competition, just like you'll see later on today, we'll get some awards. Some of the volunteers going to get awards here, but DCI also organizes that in Bangladesh. The essay and debate and art competition, not only for DCI orphanages also, but also for the government orphanages. So they make it, you know, available for broader orphans around the country. Now here's a great picture. I'm telling you, look at these volunteers. Some of these volunteers are and in the picture, that's my daughter, and she goes from here, and there's some other volunteers. And this is just a few pictures. I mean, if you want, you can get hundreds of pictures in the website, DCI website. You go and see that so many volunteers. And how many of the volunteers here in the room? I saw earlier a bunch of them, but it can show you, raise your hand and show that how many of you been to Bangladesh and done some volunteer work with DCI? Here you go. Look at that. There's a lot of hands. Give them a round of applause. This young volunteers have gone, and I'm telling you, and I have been there for several times when I have seen those volunteers been there. I mean, they have a great time, and so does the kids at the orphanage. They hang on to them. They won't let them go. They want to listen more. They're telling stories, and they're playing, and it is so much fun to even just sit there and watch. So, and then again, this is all done by DCI, the youth volunteers, and volunteers of all ages. They contribute, just like Dr. Ehsan in his presentation said, that if you can contribute 5 minutes or 5 hours, whatever you can, this helps, and you see where it's all going. So you can see here the before and after picture. Look at the girls right there on the top. This was when they were taken into this orphanage, and look how they look now, how cheerful, how happy, how colorful, and how healthy they look. So when you look at these girls, would you believe that the world without orphans, what it would be like today? Would you believe that Nelson Mandela, Steve Jobs, Bill Clinton, Marilyn Monroe, John Lennon, Malcolm X, and a few others were also orphans? So each and every one of those girls has an opportunity and could be the future leader of this world. And in conclusion, there is truly no greater cause or grander accomplishment than to give the gift of health, nourishment, shelter, education, and opportunity to those that have none. It takes love, money, hard work, and a lifelong commitment to lives to ever begin to address the need of every orphan's heart and soul. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.